evening, folks, and welcome to this episode of Female Frenzy. On this fine spring morning, we will be broadcasting live from Hollywood, California to discuss the misogynistic ways that women were portrayed in television shows in the 1960s compared to now. We will start off by delving into shows from the 1960s and 70s, Gilligan's Island and The Brady Bunch. We will then switch over to modern times, where we will analyze the way women are portrayed in modern television shows such as Grey's Anatomy and The Proposal, the movie. We will start with a live interview from Hollywood, California with Florence Henderson, who played the mother in The Brady Bunch. Florence, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Greetings all. Nice to be in attendance today. It was many moons ago that I played Carol Brady on The Brady Bunch, so I will try to remember what I can. I'm glad I could travel from Dale, Indiana to tell you one of the most popular TV shows aired in the 1960s. Not to brag or anything.
So The Brady Bunch is a show in which we can cut out parts. So The Brady Bunch is a show in which a man with 3 boys and a woman with 3 girls get married after losing their original spouses. The 2 families combine and are thus called the Brady Bunch. There are countless underlying gender stereotypes throughout the show. So Florence, can you tell us a little bit about the role you played on the Brady Bunch? Or should I say the gender stereotype bunch?
I think that the Brady Bunch exhibits the sexual identity in the most blatantly obvious and conventional ways. It is the epitome of a gender stereotype where I, as a woman, would stay home and tend to the domestic sphere while my partner worked and was the source of income for the entire family. Perceived gender realities such as the boys of the family were always interested in cars and camping, being active and performing laborious tasks outside, while the girls were always interested in sewing, cooking exemplifies these stereotypes within the show. I was perceived as helpless, always relying on my husband to be the main disciplinarian, and my daughters in the show are fixated on boys and dating as well as marriage. Although this is slightly vague and occurred in many television shows in the 1960s, it perfectly represents how we were depicted during this time. I think it's nice to finally be able to share my personal views on this topic as well as learn from the past.
Thank you so much for that deep insight. Now, I know that this was more than a few decades ago, and my oh my, you look so young for your age. But can you reflect upon an episode in particular where you encountered the stereotype against women?
Yes, I can recall one episode called The Liberation of Marsha Brady. One of my daughters in the show, Marsha, appeared on a news show to voice her opinions on feminism. Originally, she was bold and assertive in her statements that women should be treated as equals to men, but soon followed it by, I guess, and then turned into it, oh, I am not brave, I am stupid, to show her regret for her stating the blatantly obvious. She felt compelled to voice her regret after realizing the implications of her speech in that time period. Personally, I think the writers of the show were ostentatious to include this topic of the weak portrayal of women exemplifies the 1960s role of women in television.
Thank you, Florence.
Thank you.
We are now going to look at another show from the 60s, Gilligan's Island. Sadly, none of the women from Gilligan's Island were able to join us today. Gilligan's Island is a show that tells the tale of a group of people that were supposed to go on a 3-hour boat tour, but ended up hitting a storm and getting stranded indefinitely on a desert island. There are 4 males and 3 women on this show. There are a slew of gender stereotypes that are in each episode. First off, all of the women are depicted as beautiful and practically brainless. Only one of them has a real profession, and she is a gorgeous movie star, while one man on the show is a successful businessman and another is a professor. On the island, the men are always doing manly things, such as building rafts, building shelters, whereas the women are just sitting there idly. One episode is particularly sexist. At one point, another woman named Ava shows up on the island, claiming that she was running away because she had no luck with boys. She wanted to run away rather than spend her life alone because that was too embarrassing. In order to fix her situation, the woman on the island decided to give her a makeover. Clearly, this is nothing to help promote the strength of women at all. It basically feeds into the ideas that women are on Earth solely to please men. This show gives a great insight into how women were viewed in the 1960s. If they weren't pretty or getting married, they might as well quit life and escape to a desert island.
My interview with Sandra Bullock, who plays Margaret Tate in The Proposal. The Proposal is a movie about a successful writer who is the boss of a magazine. When she finds out she's going to be deported back to Canada, she tries to get married to one of her employees. Welcome, Sandra Bullock.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you today.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
So, Sandra, what do you think about the way you were portrayed in the movie The Proposal?
I think I was portrayed in a way that many women are in movies and TV shows nowadays. Unlike in the 60s, we are portrayed as capable in positions other than domestic roles, which is somewhat of an improvement. However, in these new roles, we are often portrayed as rude, catty, and bossy. In The Proposal, I play a successful editor who has risen to be the boss of a company. And instead of just being portrayed as a successful woman I am, I get labeled as pushy and unlikable. It's like women can't be in leadership positions without being labeled as rude.
Can you think of any instances where anyone in the movie script where you were specifically called any of those words, such as bossy or catty?
You know, at one point after I told someone to do something, an employee was taped sending out an iMessage that said, "The witch is on her broom," to the rest of the employees. This is all because I was speaking my mind and asking someone to do something. So women in leadership roles are almost always portrayed as bossy and witchy, in my personal experiences.
Do you think that there is a difference between the way men and women are depicted in television shows and movies in this time period?
Almost definitely, without a doubt. Men are never given the bossy stereotype. You never see a man in the media who is labeled as a witch. When a man is in a leadership position, he's allowed to have a strong and powerful character, and no one ever questions it. But with women, they must have some other flaw in order to be a leader. It's as if society is afraid to allow women to be powerful leaders. And though the media has made big steps to change the way women are portrayed in these roles, there is still a lot that needs fixing.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
have
It
you.
was really nice to be here. Our final interviewee would have been Chandra Wilson, who plays Miranda Bailey in Grey's Anatomy. But sadly this morning she got called into the hospital to perform a quadruple bypass surgery. She has sent us the words that she would like us to share. Our most sincere thank you, Chandra. This is from Chandra. The other cast members of Grey's Anatomy unanimously agreed that I was the Nazi, or so they called me. My blunt attitude and demanding of respect from my peers earned me this name, which I feel all women are capable of, and should be ultimately respected for in this position. However, the vulnerability of women is exemplified in this TV series. Would a man in an equivalent position of power be treated with such disrespect and called a Nazi if they were simply performing a task relating to their job and showing discipline as well as superiority? No, I didn't think so. I was placed in an extremely powerful position in charge of 5 residents and was instead depicted as feared and bitchy. I don't think it's right for women in powerful business positions to be treated in this manner or to be depicted as dictatorial, domineering, and overbearing. Off the bat, I told my interns not to bother sucking up because they already hate you, and that's not going to change. However, my inherent motherly and protective side was exhibited as I showed an increased interest in caring for my patients and residents. So that is from Chandra. Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode of Female Frenzy. We hope you enjoyed listening to the way that women have been portrayed in TV shows and in the media over the years. In the 60s, women were largely portrayed in domestic roles where they were shown as incapable, incompetent, and dependent on men. Nowadays, women are at least shown in other roles such as surgeons or company executives, but in these roles, women are largely portrayed as bossy and overbearing, and in a lot of cases, relatively bitchy.
There are also still a lot of TV shows where women are portrayed as airheaded, simply stated. These are the ways that men are rarely, if ever, portrayed. While clearly the media has come a long way from believing that women could only hold domestic roles, there is still a lot that needs to be done, so that women are not always given such a bossy charisma. We hope that this episode has inspired you to help continue changing the way women are portrayed in TV shows and movies. And again, thank you for joining us.